What is going on, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls? You are on the sidelines with the sideline guys for a very special NBA edition, emergency edition
Yeah.
of the sideline guys. And of course, I am joined by the often imitated, never duplicated, the podfather himself, my guy, Derrick Myers. How's it going, brother?
All is well, bro. All is well. It's just like this news just crazy.
For
Absolutely
real.
insane.
And no other place than to get news like this than following the brand at OTS Media Co. on all social media platforms, OTS Media on YouTube. So you never miss the talk of all this insane stuff going on in the world of sports. And honestly, there's nothing more insane than this one. I can't wait to dive right into it. But before we do it, Derek, why don't you remind the people where they could find you?
Yes, sir. You can follow me at Derrick_OTS. That's DERRICK, the black way to spell it.
You heard the man get it right. In Black History Month, God damn it, you can follow me at Negron MMA on Twitter as well as TikTok and Chris Negron underscore on Instagram. But God damn it, we're here for a reason. And that reason is the Blockbuster trade that the whole sports world still can't believe actually happened. The details are as follows: the Lakers are receiving Luka Doncic, Maxi Kleber, and Markieff Morris, while the Dallas Mavericks are receiving Anthony Davis, Max Christie, and the Lakers' 2029 first round pick. The Jazz somehow found themselves involved once again, receiving Jalen Hood Shafino and the Mavs and Clippers 2025 second round pick. So for all intents and purposes, this is the last time we're going to be talking about the Jazz when it comes to this trade. But God damn, I just got to set the stage by saying I don't remember a time in my life, right? Not even like since I started podcasting, no, a time in my life that I got more texts from multiple people at fucking 12 o'clock at night
Yeah.
than when this trade news broke. So, right off the top, Derek, I'm going to hit you with the hard hitting question, right? With yes or no, there's only one answer. Who won this trade, the Lakers or the Mavericks?
Bro, I might be in the minority in this one. I really don't think either one won this trade, which is, I know it's kind of weird to say. I think for the value of what Luka could have demanded, the Mavs definitely lost. If you talk about comparison of what was received, they definitely lost. Like, I, there's no way you can say otherwise. But in terms of who long term who really wins this trade, I don't think either one wins. I like I'm thinking about the Lakers and how bad defensively they just became, right? Can
Currently
you
getting blown out by the Cavs as we speak, by the way.
Yeah, yeah. Like, just think about how it's gonna look when LeBron and Luca are on the floor together. You know what
Mhm.
I'm saying? Like, that's not it's and you don't have a big that is going to really and all bro, this really started AD because AD is asking for a big, right? Like, he asked for another big, and then yeah, you got a big trade, bro. Like, like what were your first thoughts, man? Because like I remember I was literally getting into bed when this hit. I'm surprised I didn't wake Mariah up because I was shocked, thrown
Bro,
away, blown away. My bad.
fully blown away. I also misspoke. It's the Mavs getting cooked by the by the Cavs right now. So
Yeah.
I agree though, the Lakers defense, the Lakers period. Like I don't understand what team they trot out there now, just
Hmm.
given what the hell just happened.
Yeah.
Um Yeah, this is really fucking weird, man. Let's start here. I was watching the David Benavidez David Morrell fight. So
Yes.
that fight just wrapped up. An amazing fight as well. Honestly, a fight that is more one-sided than you sort of felt like when you was watching it, because goddamn, both of those guys were really going to war and putting it all out there. So I already was at this extreme adrenaline rush, right?
Mhm.
And then I see the ESPN alert. And then I immediately clicked on it because I'm like, nah, this is not real. Like, there's
Yeah.
no way this is real. And then I
Yeah.
see Shams tweeted it. And then everyone is in Shams' comments, like, nah, Shams got hacked. Shams got hacked. So for a second there, I'm like, nah, this shit not real. Like, there's no way this is real.
Yeah.
Obviously, as things start to settle in, I think my first response was, how the hell do the Lakers get away with a trade like this without giving up Austin Reeves as well? That was the first thing I thought of. And
Yeah.
then the second, which is good for them, right?
Yeah.
Good little win for them. And then the second thing was, how is this Dallas front court situation going to work? Because I think Dallas, more so than any other team in the league, already had their center position locked up between Gafford and Lively. So
Mhm.
I guess he's going to be playing power forward. We're going to get the throwback Twin Towers in this
Yeah.
modern day NBA, which is kind
Yeah.
of crazy to think about. Um, we've already kind of seen AD play at power forward, and
Mhm.
offensively, it hasn't been the best for his career. So I'm interested to see, I guess, how this all shapes up. The more I think about it, though, the answer has to be that this is deeper than basketball, right? There's no, in my opinion, regardless of whatever reports came out or
Mhm.
whatever GM is talking next to Jason Kidd, saving face. Jason Kidd looking like he got a gun to his head underneath the table, just
Bruh.
holding his tongue so he doesn't really tell us how he feels.
Yeah.
The broad picture, though, as far as how I feel about this, I think that I can't believe that the Mavs were willing to do this. I think if we're getting a winner, I would say the Lakers won, and it's not because of everyone's reaction. I think the first
Yeah.
reaction a lot of people had was, "Oh my God, the Lakers are going to get how many chips now with Luka and LeBron?" And I'm like, "Well, no,
Mm,
that's not what this is about at
mm,
all."
mm-mm.
I don't see that happening for them now, but the chance to court Luka, right, and make him feel comfortable and open to wanting to stay in LA long term
Mhm.
is really the big catch here. Because let's face it, this is a team that has no stake in their first round picks, has no stake in a young future besides the guys already on their roster.
Mhm.
And then you're looking at a hard reset very soon, right? With AD aging, as well as obviously LeBron being who he is. So a lot of people were kind of calling for them to hit the reset button. That's certainly what this seems to be. I don't imagine them being a playoff team after this year, just because of obviously the health reasons, but also just the product on the floor. I can't imagine. I mean, let's be real. Max Christie was contributing on this team to a big
Yeah.
level
Yeah,
that
yeah, yeah.
everyone
Yeah.
is just acting like is not the case as soon as he leaves. I'm really interested to see how the Lakers look after this, because I think it's going to be absolutely terrible this season. I think
Yeah.
this is a
Yeah.
move for the next 3 years, which is uncharacteristic of a team with LeBron James on it, right? It's
Mhm.
already decided that he is not going to be traded at the deadline, but who knows, right? Who knows at this fucking pace? But it just doesn't make sense, right? LeBron is fully in win now mode. This is not a win now move. This is a win later move,
Mhm.
which, as a OKC fan, I respect. I think this is, as far as what they got out of this deal, it is the winning side, because you
Yeah.
have a
Yeah.
player that has the potential to be the best player in the league, right?
Mhm.
As far as the Mavs return, the more I get warm to the idea, the more I'm actually fascinated by how this new roster is going to look. I think obviously Luka's been out, right? So they've been having to make do without him.
Mhm.
But this also feels like a very strange move, because the GM is shouting at the halls that this is them going all in to try to win a championship now.
Mhm.
And in theory, right, if the defense holds up with the fucking three bigs they have rotating out there, I could see a situation where they're doing well, right? Especially being able to command the glass in that way.
Mhm.
But I just don't know if Max Christie is enough to make this backcourt serviceable in the NBA. I love me some Kyrie, And obviously they got a whole bunch of other guys like there, like Spencer Dinwiddie, etc. But I don't know, man. It's just weird to me. This
Yeah.
this whole situation is strange. I think this is beyond basketball, and for whatever reason, we're not going to get the full story of it. I'm reminded of a quote in 2020 where Mark Cuban was saying, "If it came down between letting Luka go and losing my marriage, I'm gonna have to consult with some lawyers." And
Yeah.
this motherfucker's still married, right? By
Yeah.
all accounts. So I don't know. I mean, everyone is pointing to the health and the concerns about him being out of shape and not out of playing shape. I mean, he's injured. So I guess to a certain extent that all makes sense. But there's no world, in my opinion, where this is okay. Funny enough, this is a trade that kind of felt familiar to me because
Mhm.
everyone is freaking out about how the hell this happens. And in my lifetime, in my fandom, the only trade that felt similar was the Harden Houston trade because
Yeah,
we
yeah,
got back Kmart and it was like we did this over literally $3 million. We weren't
yeah.
willing to give him $3 million, so we traded him for Kevin Martin.
Mhm,
And I remember how devastating that was for me. I was just like, yeah, this fucking sucks.
mhm.
So as a Mavs fan, I immediately reached out to my guy Logic, right, just to see how he was doing. And he has committed, right? He said, "I'm a Mavs fan for life, right? No matter what happens here." But he is devastated with good reason.
Yeah.
I think the Lakers ultimately came out as bandits in this because obviously no one expected him to be available in the first place. And
Mhm.
then when you consider what you could have got for someone like this ain't it. This ain't the package, right?
Yeah.
So I think the GM is absolutely stupid as hell for not contacting any other teams because they clearly wanted AD so bad. Well, if you wanted AD so bad, y'all could have got a three-way deal with
Mm.
another big player involved, and then all of y'all could have been happy. So I just don't get it. I would love to hear Mark Cuban's thoughts on this because this is absolutely bizarro world for me at least.
Yeah, so I'm like one thing about it to me is that I immediately started to think about how this impacts everybody else. Like one, I know that when it comes to the Jimmy Butler, De'Aaron Fox saga, this is going to definitely impact that, right? Um, Reports came out that the Mavs are not done. They're looking to make another trade. So I'm kind of thinking like, well, what does that look like? Are we talking about Clay getting traded? Are we talking about Spencer Dinwiddie getting traded? Like those are the things I'm starting to think about. Then the other part of it is LeBron's legacy. Okay. There has not been one time that I could think of where he's had a number 2 option and has not screwed them over in some way, shape, or form. So now it's like, okay, however much longer LeBron plays, what does that look like moving forward? Because you can't trust that you're not going to get traded or he's going to leave. You know what I'm saying? Like you cannot trust that. And that's the part of it now I'm starting to wonder, what does that look like from a legacy perspective? Because I can't remember or recall any other great dealing with this type of thing or doing this type of thing. You know what I'm saying? At least not this many times to your number 2,
Mhm.
I mean, reports came out that, he had nothing to do with it. He's at dinner last night. Bro, Michael Corleone was at the chapel for a baby dedication when the other families were getting whacked off. I cannot believe that.
Mhm.
I cannot trust that. So that's the part of it that I'm starting to wonder about. Like, what does this look like for him? Luka is ineligible for a supermax contract, right? So, for all intents and purposes, he has no reason to sign an extension with the Lakers at this point. He has no reason to do it. So now what does that look like? Because if LeBron leaves or retires or whatever in the next year or two, 3 max, what does that look like for his future long term, right? We've already seen that the Mavs have not been able to build um, a championship team around Luka. Now, the
I mean,
Lu-
they were in the finals last
in
year.
the finals last year, but that wasn't going to work against the Celtics, right? Um, that's the closest that they can get. But even with that, he can't play defense or he won't play defense. So even with that type of roster that they had last year, there was a glaring hole with him on the floor defensively, right? So what does that look like? What type of team do you build around Luca? I can't see the Lakers being able to do that because, like you said, they don't have the assets that it is going to take to rebuild this properly in the next 2 to 3 years. So what reason do you have to sign any type of extension in LA? And if he doesn't sign there, what team can you see in the future that he could actually go to?
That's a great question. I mean, no matter I would think no matter where he goes, he gonna break the bank, right? Even if it's not the super
Yeah,
max, he's gonna get a great contract. Like I
yeah,
think
yeah.
he clearly is top three player in the NBA, which is not something that LeBron could say right now.
Mhm.
Yeah, man, I don't know. It is weird in that way because it's almost, I mean, this is as hard of a reset button you could hit.
Yeah,
It is literally saying we don't even have a roster to compete this
right.
year. We're just hoping that we can long term convince you that this is where you want to be
Mhm,
because of what we're going to be willing to do for you.
mhm.
And that just seems like a terrible situation to be in, like you said, when you don't have those assets. I think obviously Austin Reeves is a great player, but kind of suffers from a little bit of the same issues that Luca does, right?
Yeah,
So,
yeah,
and honestly, a very similar player. So I'm kind of like,
yeah.
that's the part of it that I don't get. Like, I think if anything, in theory, they should have tried to get the Mavs to include one of those bigs and also gotten rid of Reeves so that now you have a different piece to it as
Yeah,
well.
yeah.
So you have at least a 1, 2, 3 level roster. This is
Right.
at least a 2 level roster right now, and I don't see it being able to compete at all this season. So I'm gonna double down on that.
Yeah.
I think the idea though of getting LeBron to play with Luca is phenomenal for LA. This is a LA move, right? This is
Yeah,
a
yeah,
let's get
yeah,
everyone
yeah.
to come through and watch some Luca magic, and then hopefully, with the ticket sales, we'll be able to figure something out to get them some actual competitive players for next year. Um, yeah, it's strange to me, and I think the weirdest part about this whole thing is just once again, if you're the Mavs, I get it. You want to get ahead of him potentially being a free agent, but
Mhm.
what the fuck happened? Like, how is it this bad that you decided going about it this way and getting arguably one of the worst returns you could have gotten from any team?
Mhm.
Um, I don't fucking know, but knowing that the Mavs are not done makes me as an OKC fan happy, right? Shout out Aaron
Mhm.
Wiggins. He scored 41 last night. Right?
Yeah.
Why not? Like, let's start talking, right? We got some things to talk about now, Dallas.
Yeah,
I,
yeah.
I think I think Dallas actually is they came out on top in that way as far as this is gonna save their season. But in my opinion, this is a punt move you should be willing to make if you're already like the fourth or fifth seed. This is a team that's in
Right,
the play-in right now. So
right,
and barely at that. So it's
right.
like, I don't fucking get it. And you're banking on a whole bunch of old dudes too on that side.
Yeah. And see, the thing about it too is that's one of the reasons why I'm really confused because, um, they came out and said this morning that part of the reason why they did this trade was because of Luca's conditioning and, other factors with him, I guess, from a physical standpoint, are always being injured or often injured rather. So you traded Luca for AD, who's often injured.
Prolifically
I
injured.
like, what are we talking about here? I don't get it. That doesn't make any sense to me. Right? Obviously the Mavs have a better roster right now, but that's on paper, bro. We've seen a lot of these teams on paper should, it looks like they should be able to work out and they don't.
And a lot of those included Kyrie. Just want to throw.
Yeah. Yeah. I I'm intrigued. I'm intrigued because now it's like what happens from here? Because if they are looking to make another trade, who are you trading with, man? Who are you trading away?
Someone
Be-
that needs a big. It has to be a big. That's the only thing that makes sense.
yeah, and I don't know, man. If I'm Dallas, I'm looking to get picks and another impact player, possibly. I know off rip, the three teams that have those type of picks would be Utah, Oklahoma, and San Antonio, right? Those are
Mhm.
the top three that come to mind right now that have a ton of picks to play with. I want to say the Clippers might have some as well, but I gotta look. I'm not sure. But those are the top three for sure. Um, a player that comes to mind would be Kessler from Utah. That would be a player that comes to mind. But again, who are you trading?
No.
Who like Dallas? Who is Dallas going to trade for a Kessler? Like, bro. I don't know. This is one of the in the grand scheme of things in terms of trades. This has to be at least top two of like craziest moments
Mhm.
for trades.
I think the craziest part about this trade is how firm the Mavericks are making it seem like this is what's pushing them over the hump. Like that part of it is the
Yeah,
most bizarro about it
yeah,
for me because it's like
yeah,
you could. I mean, this trade screams this is a business decision, right? There's something about Luka that needed to be shipped out, right? Like that's what it screams to me. But the way they're doubling down, like, no, this is what gives us the best chance to win. Since when were y'all worried about winning? Like,
bro.
I don't understand, bro. I think even if Luca came back and they had the current roster, they would have been in an all right position to maybe get out of the first round, right?
Yeah,
I don't see this roster looking like a lock in to be in the conference finals. Like it
yeah,
doesn't feel that way.
not
And
at
they
all.
got a lot of work to do to get their standing up higher, especially in the West. So, yeah, man, it's just so weird because both fan bases are so convicted about what this does for them. I mean, obviously, the
Mhm.
Dallas fans are just transparent about how heartbroken they are because this is
Yeah,
clearly some bullshit.
yeah,
But yeah, man, I think this trade is not what it seems for everyone involved. Like
yeah,
that's the wild part about it because the headlines are there. This is the biggest trade ever. I mean, it
mhm,
got us to do an emergency pod, right? I can't think
yeah,
of any other trade that's done that. But
yeah,
even then, it doesn't feel like this is going to be a league changing trade in any way besides LA's future, which I think the league cares about, but I don't think the league is literally like I think all the conspiracy theorists are out with this one too, saying, "Oh, they only did it for the ratings, or they only talk to the Lakers because they want to save that. This is the National Brown Association." Hey, look, I get the inclination, but once again, this is not that move. This is not
yeah,
them getting a complete roster that puts them in a position to succeed. This is barely an NBA team, like
yeah, yeah,
literally.
yeah,
So
yeah, and the fact that Austin Reeves is the guy, like, so, bro. Like, I get Austin Reeves is a really good player. I'm not taking that away from him, but you're telling me like you wouldn't move him from like for a De'Aaron Fox? Like,
not
come
gonna be
on,
able to
man.
do it.
Like, what like, honestly, on both sides, and let's be honest here, from a marketing standpoint, if you're the Lakers, you make this move 10 times out of 10, right? Like this is a no-brainer for you to give up AD for Luka. And also you're looking at the possibility of keeping him to be your future face of the franchise, but it's
There's
still
no guarantee
confusing.
you're
There's
even
no
getting that.
guarantee he's staying. Like it's just this is the weirdest move on both ends. That's also why I say I don't think either one of these teams win this trade. Like the Mavs definitely are in a better position right now, but I don't even think that is much of a it doesn't move the needle. Like that's the thing. If you're gonna make a trade that moves the needle. You know what I'm saying? Get someone that's going to do something for sure. I don't see this being something that's a for sure thing. Yeah, AD is going to do well for you defensively, especially if you have him at the four. But I,
Why didn't you contact the Bucks about Giannis? Why didn't you contact
so
Phoenix about potentially Brad Booker or somebody like that? Like, I don't understand.
yeah,
I really don't understand.
and that's the thing too. They came out and said this morning that there was some other team that they contacted for
Apparently,
Luka.
in the GM interview that he did, I'm not even gonna say his name because he doesn't deserve it.
Yeah,
Right? This is
yeah,
not a move that gets you to be announced as an executive on this show. But
yeah.
in the GM interview, he said that that report was false. That it was
Oh, that
only
was a false one.
yep,
Okay, so they just they kept
in
this
the
a
night
secret.
just called a good old Rob Palinka. Apparently, him and Palinka had a relationship because he was involved with Kobe's
Yeah,
agency
yeah.
when Kobe was alive, rest in peace, and with the Lakers. So I don't fucking know. This is so weird, bro. Everything about this screams collusion. Everything
It
about this
does.
needs to get fucking investigated.
Mhm.
And I just find it hilarious that this is also the Lakers, right? Because we remember the Chris Paul trade, right?
Yes.
The trade that never happened.
Yeah.
I feel like if David Stern was running this bitch, the same shit would have happened here, no?
Yeah, maybe. And it
And that trade made more sense. That
that
trade
made
was
so
wild
much
and
more
it made
sense.
more sense. Holy
So
shit, Derek.
so much more sense. I don't know, man. I think I'm still at a loss for words about this thing because it just none of it makes sense. Like, there's nothing that you look at this trade and is like, I have to make this trade to make my team a contender. This doesn't do that for either team. You know, I think from a marketing standpoint, the Lakers do this 10 times out of 10. I get that, but
Yeah, I think in some ways this is better than trying out that team that they had and acting like they're going to contend this year. I think
yeah,
this is better than that because at
yeah,
least you're choosing a direction, right?
yeah,
This is once again reminds me of dynasty fantasy sports, right? Like
uh
you either want to be contending for a title or you
yeah,
want to be contending for a number one draft pick.
yeah.
And at this rate, even bottoming out like that doesn't make sense for them either. So I think they're gonna look to reshuffle after this season and see if they could come up with a contender for next season.
Hmm.
But yeah, this is just so short-sighted and strange, bro.
It
I
is.
can't wait to find out in 2 years, like, and be able to look back at this because I think we gonna have a lot more answers than we do now.
Let's try and make some predictions real quick before moving on.
Okay.
Is JJ Redick still the coach in 2 years with this team?
Honestly, hot take, I don't see why he wouldn't be because LeBron's gonna be there. So
Okay, okay. Well, see that I don't trust. That I don't trust. I don't know, bro. I doubt it. Personally, I doubt it. Especially if, let's say, Luca decides, hey, this is the place I'm gonna stay. I'm gonna be here long term. Um, is JJ Redick the coach for Luca? You know, like, is that the guy that you can get to unlock Luca? I don't know. I
yeah.
don't know. I mean, we'll see.
Yep, we certainly
Yeah,
will.
we're gonna have about like 2 months to see how this goes, But yeah, I don't know. I
I
don't
don't
know.
blame Luca for being pissed either. I think this is
Yeah.
the biggest example of a that job don't give a fuck about you in recent sports
Hmm.
history that I can
Hmm.
remember. Just because, like I said, there has to be some way they were scorned here for them to
Yeah.
make a move like this in silence.
Yeah.
Like it is so wild, Derrick. I remember when I first read this, I'm like, who the fuck did Luca smash? Right? Luca must be smashing something because you don't make a
Yeah.
move like this unless you are a man scorned,
Yeah.
right?
Well, it's because they took his beer
Yeah, I
last year.
saw that
Yeah.
too.
Yeah. Okay. Is who makes it to the playoffs for first or further in the next 2 years?
Oh, it's certainly going to be the Mavs, but this is the better question: do the Mavs make it to the conference finals? Because I say no.
Not at all.
you
Not at all. Not
know,
at all.
what's going to be the best timeline for this though?
What was that?
I saw someone, a Mavs fan, catastrophizing on this, so I won't take sole credit for this idea. But he goes, "The ultimate fuck you." Kyrie opts out, goes and sign with the Lakers, and then
Ooh.
the Dallas Mavericks sell the team to become a Las Vegas based organization. And honestly, that might be one of the better outcomes for Dallas fans right now because there's
Yeah.
a line of people outside of the arena just screaming to sell the team right
Yeah.
now. So
Yeah. Well,
insanity there. I can't believe this shit. I can't believe
yeah.
it.
And I don't and Mark Cuban isn't the owner, like sole owner now. Like he's got partial ownership because I think he sold it in the off season, I think. So
Made a whole bunch of bread too. Shout out.
a ton of it. So I can't imagine how he's feeling about this. I
This
can't
doesn't
imagine.
happen, right? If he's the sole
Yeah, I
owner
don't
still.
think this happens if he's running it. And and Dirk, I wonder how Dirk feels because he loves him some Luca. Yeah, I
Yeah.
don't know, man.
Yeah, man. This gets wilder and wilder. I guess the more time removed, the more answers we'll have. But in a sick way, I can't wait to see Luca in a Lakers uniform. I think it's gonna be super strange, right? It's gonna look
Yeah.
extra thick in that gold and purple for sure. Gonna see every one of those 270 pounds. You know, what's my favorite my favorite meme to come out of all of this though is like when you found out they traded Luca for being the same weight as you. I was like, damn, bro, they got my ass. Fuck.
Hey, man.
All
Well,
right,
time will
last question
tell.
on this before we move on. Last
Yeah.
question. Is there a world where we find out that honestly, I don't even know where I'm going with this, but is there a world where we find out that this was bigger than trying to contend with a defensive minded player this year? Is there a world where we get the real story? Because at this point, I think there's no way that something's being not being hidden here.
Yeah, no, I don't see that because I can honestly, at least nothing coming out anytime soon. I think it might be one of those things that we find out like in 10, 20 years or whatever.
Little 30 for 30.
Yeah. Yeah. But I don't know because one of the reasons why Kyrie went there was Luca, right? I'm pretty sure one of the reasons why Clay went there is because of Luca and Kyrie.
Yep.
So yeah, I don't know, man. I don't know. I don't know. This is gonna be very interesting, but we should get the story at some point in time, but it's gonna be a long time. And the Cavs just beat the Mavs by 43 points. So
With no
you
Kyrie, though, we got
with
to give a
no
shout out.
Kyrie, but even with Kyrie, they weren't gonna win that game, so it doesn't
Yeah.
matter. Yeah.
It's
This-
weird, though, because I think they have, especially with AD now, they have a very interesting matchup situation. Like honestly, I'm gonna be real. I don't want to see them in the fucking playoffs. I don't. And I didn't want to see them before this, but especially now, just
Mhm,
because the way their roster matches up with ours. So
mhm.
yeah, man, please, OKC, if you're listening, Right? We got until Thursday, baby. Let's figure this out. Let's get a big. Let's get us some insurance, right? Some Chet
Mhm.
insurance, because I know my
Yeah,
guy's a little banged up right now.
yeah,
Let's call Dallas, bro. Let's keep harassing this GM because clearly he's itching to make a move. Let's keep calling
Excuse me.
because I think we have the pieces to make something work. Let's do it.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. We faced them this week, so
Mhm.
I'm looking forward to that game. That's gonna be hilarious.
Oh, I can't wait to see AD in a Dallas uniform too. I think when his career is all said and done too, I think it's going to be almost on shout out my guy, but Jamal Crawford levels. I think we're
Mm.
going to see him in at least two, three more teams before he hangs it up. But
Yeah, and one thing I will say too before we move on, Anthony Davis's father. I want to circle back on you real quick for a petty moment because I remember when AD was supposed to be traded from the Pelicans, and there were reports of us trading for him to get him in Boston. And AD's dad came out and said, "Boston. I would never want my son to play for Boston after what they'd done to Isaiah Thomas. No loyalty. Guy gives his heart and soul, and they traded him. Anyone can print that."
hmm.
Ah, my, how the turns have tabled.
Yes, sir. And we'll leave it at that, ladies and gentlemen. Next up, we get the honor of talking about the incoming, upcoming, whatever the fuck you want to call it, All-Star game. And of course, we've got the announcement of the All-Star reserves. First off, in the Eastern Conference, I got to ask right off the top, this is what
Mm,
we're looking at. We got Jalen Brown, Pascal Siakam, Darius Garland, Cade Cunningham, Evan Mobley, Damian Lillard, and Tyler Hero. Now, Derek, one of these things are not like the other, right? Well, one of these things are not like the other one. So, who should be here in place of Tyler Hero, Derek?
Trey Young
Yeah, or LaMelo.
or
One of those
LaMelo.
two guys.
Like, bro, come on, man. Tyler Hero, man. Like, cool player. All-star though. We
This is
giving
his
him
second, right?
Yeah, but we giving him all-star over those two guys, bro.
Bruh. And meanwhile, he wouldn't have even gotten that opportunity if Jimmy wasn't on his wrecking machine path himself. So yeah, this is strange,
Yeah.
bro.
It's just it's weird, man. I'm happy, for all the other guys. Tyler Hero, I'm not happy for. I mean, cool, but you don't deserve it. Not over those two
Mhm.
guys, bro.
And I love to see the Cavs getting this representation too. I honestly didn't
Yeah,
expect to see Evan Mobley get this respect, but I think it's deserved. I
yeah,
said it early on in the year, and I say it now, man. They really run that offense through him in a lot of ways. So
yeah,
I love that move for him. I'm not gonna lie, if there is someone else on this list that deserves a little scrutiny too, I think it's Damian Lillard. And there's no shade. I think he's
yeah.
stepped up big time from where he was last season.
Hmm.
But even then, I think there's a little bit of room to acknowledge that hey, maybe the Bucks aren't where we want them to be at this stage. So yeah, man, I don't know. This is gonna be fun, but this West side of things makes it a little bit more interesting though, because I
Hmm.
think it's hard to argue anywhere else. We've got the reserves as follows: Anthony Edwards, double Anthony Davis, James Harden, Jaron Jackson Jr., Alperen Şengün from Houston. Good to see them have
Yeah,
representation.
yeah.
Jalen Williams, shout out my guy, J Dub. And then, of course, the alien himself, Victor Wembanyama. There's no room here, right? There's nobody else we could squeeze in,
No.
despite other guys also probably being deserving too.
Yeah, man. I mean, of course, it's always going to happen where some guys should probably get the acknowledgement, but I mean, you can't argue against these guys. That's the thing. Like, it's just, I don't know how, there's no way to fix that part of it. It's just, that's just what happens. You're going to have some snubs, but nah, I think this is perfectly fine. I'm with it. I'm with it.
Yeah, I agree. I like all these selections, but if there's anyone my heart goes out to, it's a name that probably most of y'all, if y'all are out there watching, most of y'all casuals probably don't even, you're gonna be like, who? But I think Norman Powell deserves some shouts to find his way into an all-star spot, despite how shitty Things are going for the Clippers at the moment. I think he really stepped up big time, obviously in the absence of the stars there, and as
Mhm.
the Claw continues to work his way back, I think the Clippers will keep inching their way towards the top half of that Western Conference. But good
Yeah.
luck to Norman Powell. Keep cooking, because man, I see you. If it
Yeah.
ain't, they didn't see
Yeah.
you, I see you, bro.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I've always loved Norman Powell, man. He definitely. I agree with that. It would have been cool, but I can't argue him over any of these guys.
Yeah, man. I think though, if there's anything I really want to argue, it's Edwards being the starter over Steph Curry. I think that's something that I'm willing to argue for.
Yeah.
But this year, it doesn't even matter if you're a starter or reserve anyway, Derek. So
Yeah.
why? Why are we entertaining this, right? Why does it matter?
Yeah. No, I agree with that. But I will say again that I saw someone made an argument that the reason why you make Steph the starter is because of where they're playing it, and yeah, I don't even think that has anything to do with it, to be honest with you. Like,
Hmm,
nah, he didn't deserve it this year, and
yep,
that's okay to say.
for
Edwards,
sure.
Edwards, I would have argued him in there over there for sure.
Especially when you consider this is a weighted vote between the
Yeah,
fans and all this stuff.
yeah,
That
yeah,
was clearly a fan's pick, if you ask
yeah,
me, which I ain't mad at, right? Shout out Steph Curry. I think just based off what he's accomplished, he deserves to be in that spot. But yeah, man, strange times, right? I feel like in a lot of ways, Victor Wembanyama deserves to be a starter too, but we can't figure out that world anyway. So
yeah,
I think the most appropriate next step here, and probably our closing discussion for the day, Derek, we've got on Thursday, a live draft of the top 24 players. So I know I just mentioned the reserves and
yeah,
the starters and the differences between them, but guess what? They ain't going to be starting or coming off the bench for each other anyway, because on Thursday, the Inside TNT crew is going to be having their 24-man draft to determine their three all-star teams that they will be coaching. And in addition to that, obviously, the fourth team is going to be the winner of that Rising Stars Challenge, which looks like it's going to be a fun game with guys like Wemby and other good young guys playing in those Rising Star Challenge games. But I got to ask you, Derek, I know it's always fun this time of year to discuss the All Star format. How are you feeling about Thursday's draft, and will you care enough to tune in?
I mean, I'm gonna watch it just because it's a new format, just to see how it goes. But I have a question for you. Okay, can you see any of the reserves, regardless of conference, be one of the first 5 picks?
That's a great question. If anyone has a running, Derek, and I'm not saying it because you're here, it's gonna be Jalen Brown. You gotta think, right?
Hmm.
Or also, that's a tough one though, because it's also kind of dependent on which way the wheel falls, right? Because let's say you get someone like I don't know who you would want to start that with. Let's say you start with the SGA, then
Hmm.
maybe pairing them with someone like a Wemby or something like that makes
Yeah,
more sense. But yeah, man, I don't know. That's a great question. Off the top, though, just looking at the names, I'd say Jalen Brown or Ant Edwards.
yeah. I excuse me. I can see. I'm gonna give you my three in order. I can see Wimby being first, Edwards being second, Jalen being third, Jalen Brown being third. If we're talking about reserves, excuse me, to get one of those starting positions, the top 5 positions. So I'm intrigued, but I think you have to go by a strategy on this. Yeah, you have to because there's. It would make more sense to go based on fit if you're able to, but they're not gonna do anything anyway. Like they're not playing, bro. They're going out there to
I
shoot
hope
around.
they are. I
They're
hope they
not
are.
playing. They're going to shoot around. That's it. They're going to a glorified shoot around. Am I gonna
Those
watch
Rising Stars guys are gonna be playing though. I think that's why they did this. Like, I think that fourth team is gonna be playing, and I think
it?
no
Yeah,
matter what, you
yeah,
don't want to be the team that lost to the Rising Stars Challenge.
yeah. But do you care?
I think they will, bro. That's my hot take. I
Based
really
on
think this is
bragging?
gonna be fun.
Based on bragging rights?
I mean, money's involved too. I know you
Money's
heard about
involved,
that.
yeah. But based on
I mean, we
I don't
see how much the NBA Cup means, right?
yeah,
A little change never hurt nobody.
never did. But like again, I think the All-Star game, I've said this multiple times, it has to have playoff implications for players to actually give it their all. If that's not happening, they're not going to give 110% on that floor. I like at least not the big names. Yeah, rising stars might do it because they're just now, starting
Mhm.
their careers, but yeah, you're not gonna go out there, bro. No, we're not seeing that. We're not seeing that.
Hey, I'm holding out all hope. I want this to be fun, right?
Yeah,
I think we're both very passionate about the All-Star game and
yeah,
fixing it.
yeah,
And
yeah,
any effort to do that, I welcome. Will this be the thing that fixes it? I'm not sold just yet, but I
yeah.
really do hope that this brings some competitive drive beyond just the idea of having bragging rights. I hope the players are really taking this serious, and because I mean it's a different thing too to play the 40 versus having a full game, right?
Hmm.
I think
Hmm.
that makes it a smaller burst, right? So it gives you more room to sprint.
Hmm.
Um,
Hmm.
I don't know. We're gonna see. Time will tell. But I really do hope they take this serious so that the draft is actually worth something, right? So that we
Yeah.
see the different iterations, right? Or you also might want to consider chemistry here, right? I think maybe someone like a Jalen Williams as a late pick for whoever got SGA is a better fit, right?
Hmm.
Than getting someone like a Cade Cunningham, for example. So
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
think there's little interesting wrinkles like that, right? Or maybe we get a world where none of the Cavs players are on the same team, right? Like that's another storyline within itself. So I think even if it's not competitive, it's going to be interesting, Derek. More interesting than playing for charity, right?
Yeah. Definitely more interesting than that. Um, I'm intrigued based on seeing the possibilities of different matchups, but also like teams, right? Because we could potentially see um some guys teamed up that could be teamed up later on down the road. Like we've already seen that one time where that I think that sparked was like 2 or 3 years ago that sparked the whole Giannis to Golden State rumors for since it happened where they were on playing were they playing on the same team?
Yep. And Steph was
Yeah.
absolutely cooking that
Steph,
year.
yeah, yeah,
I think that
like
was the year he won MVP too.
yeah, 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 yeah. I like that I think that's gonna be the interesting thing. What's the next rumor that comes out of All-Star for those potential moves down the road? But I don't know, man. I'm intrigued. I'm intrigued.
If there's anything that we could say in closing here, though, Derek, is this fucking blockbuster trade, bro? This is a hard act to follow. We still got 4 days of the trade deadline, 4 days of potential trades. There's no way we get something worth another emergency pod, right, Derek? There's no way.
I mean, like, short of us seeing Giannis get traded to OKC or something, I don't know. I don't know.
Mhm.
I mean, it's gonna have to take something outlandish, I think,
Yeah.
for something like that to happen. But I mean, I'm always down to record anyway, so it don't matter to
Hell
me.
yeah.
Like, but this is gonna be interesting to see because I am in the one thing that I'm intrigued by for this week is how does this impact De'Aaron Fox and Jimmy Butler? Because I told you the other day, I don't know if we're really gonna see Jimmy Butler get traded, right? And I think that this move possibly sets Miami back in terms of being on a list of priorities for other teams of trying to get Jimmy Butler. What do you need Jimmy Butler for, right?
Mhm.
So I don't know. I'm intrigued. I'm intrigued. De'Aaron Fox. I want to. Where can you see De'Aaron Fox going? Like, let's try and predict this real quick before our next episode. De'Aaron Fox trade alert comes on your phone right now, where can you see, that being taking
There's only
place?
one place I feel confident that he will go, and that is San Antonio. It's the
Yeah,
only thing that makes sense.
the only one.
And even then, does it really? Does it really? I don't think so. But hey,
Yeah.
when you got a shot blocker like that, who cares if you got CP3 and De'Aaron Fox running your guard positions?
I mean, it kind of does make sense though, because if you can have that kind of speed with Wimby, and then sprinkle CP3 in there on at random moments.
It's kind of like you're funneling the defense towards Wemby. It's like,
Yes.
hey, we're gonna let you get by, right? But
Yeah.
he gonna be there, right?
Yes. Yes. I can see it. I
Yeah.
can see it. But that's if CP3 is still on the roster in a trade like that.
I don't think they'll deal him. I think they did him a favor by even going to San Antonio. Like I
Yeah.
think Chris Paul deserves a plaque in San Antonio after this, just because in some way I think he has a big hand in Wemby's development this season and being a fucking ball handler.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
yeah, man, I don't know. I think they're indebted to him. Is there another name, another destination for De'Aaron Fox that sticks out to you?
Mm, no.
No.
San Antonio is it. San Antonio is it. I mean, on a whim, maybe a Utah.
Golden State, if you're
Golden.
drunk, right?
Yeah. Because like even Golden State, I think they're in a place now where they wish they kept Clay. You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
So um yeah, depends. I think it depends on the return. I don't see Golden State having much to give to get a De'Aaron Fox. Um I think Utah does. That would probably be like a dark horse though. You
Yeah,
know. Yeah. I think San Antonio is like the likely place.
certainly.
Oh,
Well,
Houston too. Houston too.
oh yeah, that's a good shout too.
Yeah.
But that's another team that it kind of feels like, do you want to lose your special sauce right now
Right.
with everything
Right.
you got going? Do you want to
Right.
break that up? I don't know. That's a great
Yeah.
question.
Yeah.
Only time will tell, Derek. Hopefully, we have some more stuff to talk about come next week beyond
Sure.
just the All Star game. But hey, Derek, guess what? We get to leave here with a little bit of breaking news, right? Breaking news that's
Uh-oh.
near and dear to your heart, I'm sure. The Raiders have signed a new offensive coordinator, and his name is Chip Kelly, ladies and gentlemen. So, how do you feel about that on the way out?
Glad he ain't coming to Philly.
Glad he's not a head coach, too, right? Shout
Hey
out to
man,
that.
yeah, he'll never be a head coach again in the NFL, but
Yeah.
at least not a head coach with power. I think that was the biggest thing about him in Philly is that he was in Philly coaching with power and over the roster.
Over the
And
roster and a fan base of racists behind him too, right?
y-
Oh, whoa! I said it! I said it! God damn it!
bro, when you keep Riley Cooper, who was recorded at a concert saying a slur, you keep him over LaShawn McCoy and Jeremy Maclin and Michael Vick. Yeah, yeah, that you can't say there ain't nothing but race with that one, man. Not
Yeah.
especially not with a team that was honestly that was a Super Bowl team right there. So
And a Philly team too,
and
like
a
a
Philly,
team that they could get behind.
yes, yes,
But hey, the fan base wanted them to go in a different direction. Hopefully, you guys are able to keep together your roster, dude. I can't wait to talk about the Super Bowl with you
it's
as
gonna be
well. We got
fun.
a couple of days before that show, so we got a lot to look forward to with the Philadelphia front because I think that's a dynasty that's
Yes,
going to
sir.
be held high for many years, unlike the last time you guys got to the Super Bowl. So we
Yes, sir.
got we got some exciting stuff to come on the horizon. So make sure you're locked in at OTS Media Co. on all social media platforms, OTS Media on YouTube. But as we have the pleasure of exiting your lives once again, I just got to remind you all, right? Sometimes it's really taxing to show up to work and really do all the things you have to do necessary to get that paycheck. But hey, at least you ain't getting hit up at 12 o'clock at night to get told that you're getting shipped halfway across the world to play with the team. No, 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 to go to a job that is a dead end job, ladies and gentlemen. So, hey, you might not like where you're working, but at least it's better than a dead end job in some alleyway in Los Angeles. We'll
Yes,
see
sir.
you all next week. Boom.